Hello, everyone. So, we are starting a new story this week. It is called From Marta's Italian Balcony. It is a story about a young girl and her family, and they have just moved to a new city in Italy. 8-year-old Marta Tamponi sat on the stool on the fourth floor balcony of her new home in Caserta, Italy. She was glad that this apartment had a balcony, like most Italian apartments. She heard the chugga chugga of a little three-wheeled truck. Was it the moving man with the rest of their furniture from Naples? Marta peered over the balcony to see, but the new leaves on a nearby sycamore tree blocked her view. Marta's big brother came running out the door of the apartment building. Roberto was 12 years old and thought he was always right. Marta guessed he had heard the truck too. Chugga, chugga, chugga. She could see it now. The little overloaded truck shuddered to a stop on the street in front of the building. Marta leaned over the balcony railing to see. The dining room chairs looked so funny with their legs all sticking up from the top of it. Soon the moving men were bringing up the heavy furniture. Marta, her mother called, "Please come and watch Gianni for me, so I can tell the men where to put the furniture." Marta reluctantly went to her mother's bedroom, where she put 3-month-old Gianni down in his crib. Usually, Marta didn't mind watching Gianni, but today she wanted to watch the moving men. She looked out the window and saw Roberto playing soccer with some other boys in a big field behind the apartment building. All right, already he had friends. Marta was sad. She didn't know another girl in this whole town. She had friends in Naples, but she might never see them again. Why couldn't they have stayed in Naples on their busy street with the little shops? True, they had been very crowded since Aunt Pina came to live with them, and since baby Gianni was born. But Aunt Pina was going to marry Francesco soon, so why should they have moved? It was better to be crowded than to leave friends, Marta thought. Marta turned from the window and saw a large box sitting near her mother's bed. "Oh, is it the box we packed the Madonna in?" she asked to herself. She looked at the box a minute. Mother was very busy. I am a big girl now. I will unpack the Madonna and put her on the bed until Papa can hang her on the wall over the bed. It will be fun, for she will make the house seem more like home. She carefully opened the box and gazed in at the Madonna. Mamma mia, how pretty she is! The Madonna had a baby in her arms and a starry crown on her head. She was dressed in a beautiful blue robe. Her face always smiled, and she looked a little like Marta's young Aunt Pina, who lived with them since grandmother died. Marta reached in and took the Madonna in both hands and carefully started toward the bed. Suddenly, she stumbled over another box and fell. Down went the Madonna. Crash! Bang! Marta sat up and stared at the beloved Madonna, laying in 3 large pieces on the floor. Tears filled her eyes. "Oh, what will Mamma say? What will Aunt Pina do? What shall I do?" Marta jumped up quickly and looked around. No one had heard the noise. She gathered up the pieces and put them in the box. She closed the box and pushed it into the corner behind the wardrobe. Then she went back to playing with the baby. Roberto's voice came up the stairs. Be careful, he cried, as the men carried in a large mirror for the buffet. The men carried the mirror into the dining room, and Roberto ran back downstairs. From where she stood by the baby's bed, Marta looked into the dining room and watched as the men carefully set the mirror on the buffet. One corner slid across the buffet and made a large scratch in the marble top. The smaller man said, "Mamma mia, the señorita will not be happy. She will not pay us for this job." The bigger man said, "We won't tell the señorita, and she will never know we did it." He took out his handkerchief and rubbed the scratched place. They didn't see Marta watching from the bedroom. She had an idea. Most of the afternoon, the men went up and down the stairs, carrying the furniture into the house. Marta watched from Mother's bedroom when Gianni slept, and she watched from the balcony. And when Gianni slept, she watched from the balcony. When the shadows were getting long, the men left. Then Marta ran to get her mother from the kitchen. "Mamma, Mamma, come look at the Madonna. Come and see her. She is broken," cried Marta. They hurried into the bedroom, followed closely by Aunt Pina. Marta pulled out the box and opened it. "See," she cried, "the moving men broke her." Aunt Pina exclaimed, "Mamma mia, we will surely have bad fortune now. Why did this happen?" Marta said, "Mamma, come and look at the buffet. I think they scratched that too." They all went to the dining room, and sure enough, they found a deep scratch in the beautiful marble top. "Ay, it is so difficult to move," said Mother. "Did you see them do this, Marta?" Marta did not dare tell about overhearing the conversation, for then her mother would ask why Marta hadn't told her while the movers were still there. "I saw the men take out his handkerchief and rub the place," she said. "I'm sure they must have broken the Madonna too." Marta found it a little easier to tell her lie the second time. After all, she told herself, the men could have done it. It must be so," said her mother. "Well, I feel bad about it, but we can't do anything." Pina said, "I think this is terrible for them to do this and not tell us. Now we will surely have bad fortune with the Madonna broken." "It will soon be dark," said Mother. "Where is Roberto?" "He left with some boys a while ago," said Aunt Pina. "Well then, Marta," said Mother, "I must send you after a loaf of bread for supper. You must go straight to the bakery and come straight back. Here is money to buy the bread with." Marta took the money and was off down the stairs. She was happy to be out of the building. Marta slipped down the street and slid around the corner toward the store. Suddenly, she went down in a tangle of arms and legs and groceries. Marta sat up. She rubbed her head and pulled a lettuce leaf from her hair. Right in front of her, another girl sat up. She laughed at Marta. "You look awfully funny with a lettuce hat," the girl said. Marta hastily reached up and pulled 2 more lettuce leaves from her head. "Where are you going in such a hurry?" asked the other girl. "To buy some bread," answered Marta. "Now I've spilled your groceries and lost the money, and Mamma will never let me go again." Marta burst into tears. "Are you hurt?" "No, I'm not hurt, but now there is all this trouble," Marta sobbed. "There's no trouble," said the other girl. "You help me pick up the groceries, and I'll help you find your money. My name is Alda. What is your name?" "I am called Marta." The 2 girls began picking up tomatoes, lettuce, bread, lemons, and cheese from the sidewalk. "Look, "Here's your money," exclaimed Alda. "Oh, thank you," Marta said with relief. "I live right in this next house. Let me take the groceries to the house, and then I will walk you back to the store and help you buy the best bread." The two girls went back to the store arm in arm to buy the bread. The next morning, Marta got ready for school. She nervously drank a cup of coffee with lots of milk in it and ate a slice of bread and jam. She put on her school smock, and her mother made a nice bow in her tie. At school, the teacher gave Marta a place at a long row of desks. Everyone was busy getting out books and notebooks, pens and ink. Marta looked around and saw Alda sitting 2 desks away. Then prayers were announced. When the class had almost finished the Ave Maria, Marta looked around and noticed that Alda was not saying the prayer with the class. Her head was bowed and her eyes were closed. She looked like she might be asleep. Arithmetic was the first subject. Marta had trouble with arithmetic. She took her ink pen from her book bag and turned to a clean page in her copybook. "Then, and when you have finished page 53, we will check the answers," said the teacher. Marta turned to page 53 in her book. It was all long division. They had not gotten to long division in her school in Naples, and Marta didn't know what to do. She tried to work some of the problems, but could not figure them out. She turned to another clean page in her copybook. Soon it was a mess too. Marta was exasperated. She thought, "I can't do this miserable arithmetic. I might as well give up." She slammed the book shut. To her horror, she hit the ink bottle with her elbow, and the ink ran all over the page. The teacher raised her head at the noise and walked to Marta's desk. "Why must you make all this commotion when everyone else is doing their work so quietly?" she asked. "I'm sorry," Marta said. She was very embarrassed. "I don't know how to do this work." "Clean this up and come to my desk," said the teacher. "I will show you how." At last school was over for the day. Marta ran out of the schoolyard and toward home. Alda ran to join her. "Can't you wait for me?" she said. "I just wanted to get away from the school and that awful teacher," said Marta. "But Marta, the teacher showed you how to do the work, and I will help you too." "Thank you. You are a good friend," said Marta. "But Alda, why do you sleep during the Ave Maria?" "Sleep? I was not asleep," said Alda. "I was praying." "But how can you be praying when you are not saying the prayer?" asked Marta. "I am talking to God like I talk to you, Marta. But I close my eyes and talk silently." "But don't you say the Ave Maria?" asked Marta. "No, I just tell God all about everything and tell him what I need, and then I read the Bible and know what he says to me," said Alda. "Does God answer your prayers?" asked Marta. "Oh, yes. Once my brother Ernesto was very sick, and the doctor couldn't find out what was wrong with him. Our whole family prayed, and the church prayed, and he soon got well," said Alda. "And another time, when I lost my theme paper for school, I prayed, and the Lord helped me to remember what I had written, so I could do it over." "But don't you believe in the Blessed Virgin Mary?" "Of course I do," replied Alda. "I believe she was the mother of Jesus, my Savior." "But the Bible tells us to pray to God, the Father, in Jesus' name," said Alda. "Well, I like to pray to the saints, said Marta. They reached the door of Marta's building. Alda said goodbye and went to her home around the corner. Marta ran into the kitchen and found her mother busy preparing vegetables for dinner. Mama, I have found the nicest friend. Her name is Alda Russo. She doesn't say the Ave Maria, but she is nice anyway, and she is going to help me with my arithmetic, said Marta. My, what a surprise! Already you have found a friend. And do you know what? I met a Mrs. Russo at the fruit vendor today, and she was very nice. She must be Alda's mother. I'm going to study now, Mamma, said Marta. She took her books into the dining room and spread them carefully on the big table. As she sat down, she noticed the deep scratch in the buffet, and she thought of the broken Madonna and of Pina's words. But I have a friend now, and I'm going to be good, Marta thought as she settled down to study. That is where our story will end for this week. But next week, something's going to happen to Marta that will end up putting her in the hospital. Thank you for listening.